The sun is rising over a wild, restless sea on the first day of spring, with golden light dancing across the waves. The air is soft and warm against the skin, and the breeze tastes of the salt of the ocean and the sweet scent of wildflowers. It feels as if the earth is stretching and yawning after a long slumber, shedding the weight of winter. The stillness of the darker months is giving way to birds calling from the trees, and nature is reawakening in all its vibrant colors and full of promise. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jessica, and I live in my wooden camper van Bilbo with my partner Rissy and our adventure puppy Heidi. A year ago, we left our old lives behind for a simpler and cheaper life in nature. We poured all of our savings into a second-hand van, converted it using natural and reclaimed materials, and set off to travel full-time. Since then, we've been exploring Europe in the slow lane to reconnect with nature and grow roots in the wild. We've been parked on a remote beach surrounded by mountains, and it's the kind of place where the days start blending into each other. A place that allows you to slow down, be fully present, and enjoy the simple things like drinking a cup of coffee in the sun or swimming in clear water. This is actually one of the first places we visited in our van, and it's been good to be back. Hello friends, it is the 20th of March, which means it's Ostara, or more commonly known as spring equinox, which marks the time when the day and the night are equal. It's one of the 7 pagan festivals which symbolizes renewal, balance and fertility in line with the reawakening of the earth. This is one of my favorite times of the entire year because personally I really struggle with winter and the cold, short, dark days. We do tend to spend our winters in warmer countries in Southern Europe, which means that on average we get about an hour more sunlight than the UK, which does help my mental health a lot. But I still feel like I can never quite fit in all the things I want to do with my day into the short daylight hours. So in a funny way, the beginning of spring feels like I'm truly slowing down and moving through life at a more gentle pace. The earth is definitely waking up here in southern Spain. It is 20 degrees today and really sunny, which is just so gorgeous. There's wildflowers popping up everywhere and it just makes me feel so grateful that we're able to be here in a little home on wheels. The weather has been flip-flopping quite a lot here between being beautifully sunny and warm to being stormy and even rainy. So it does feel like winter is clinging on for dear life, but slowly but surely being defeated by spring. So some of the traditions that are commonly observed around Ostara are wearing spring colours. So I'm wearing my red flowery dress today. Also painting eggs. Now we don't eat eggs, so we're not going to do that, but if you eat eggs, that's a nice thing to do. Some people also like to do a wild swim and like a ritualistic cleanse. We've actually been feeling a little bit under the weather this week. I was down with a fever for a couple of days and still feeling a little bit delicate, so I might just dip my feet. If I get too warm, I will swim, but we'll see. So we're parked at this beautiful quiet beach here in southern Spain, and there's actually a little hippie temple just down the little path from where we're parked. We parked right in the spot last year as well, which is how we knew it, and we thought it would be a really lovely place to celebrate the equinox. So I think what I'm going to do is just gather some of the yellow flowers that you see everywhere. They're a type of mustard flower and they're really abundant, so I'm just going to pick a little handful and go to the altar at the hippie temple and make a little offering. And yeah, we're just going to incorporate as many of the traditions as possible into our day today and soak up lots of sun and fresh air. We're really, really excited for spring and summer, and yeah, we just feel like the summer has a lot in store for us. Spain is rich in springtime folklore, tied to pre-Christian nature worship and rooted in people's enduring connection with the land. One well-known figure is the Iberian goddess Aticina. She was associated with the underworld and presided over the cycles of life, death, and seasonal renewal, especially in spring when the world stirs back to life. Not many stories are known about Aticina, but her worship was widespread across the region, and she was often invoked in matters of health and healing, as well as curses. This is also reflected in the origin of her name, which has been traced back to either mean rebirth or refer to the night or the underworld. The Templo Hippie is an incredible structure which beautifully blends art and nature, shaped over time by many hands. Not much is known of its origins, only that it was destroyed in a flood a few years ago and then completely rebuilt again. For many years, visitors have left painted stones, driftwood offerings, and handmade sculptures, slowly transforming the space into a whimsical and ever-evolving sanctuary on the secluded beach. Many Spanish springtime legends tell of the llanas, graceful fairies associated with water, who dwell in forest springs, fountains, and river pools, and are linked to healing and prosperity. The llanas are eternally young, with long hair and sometimes a comb made of sunlight, and their role is to help animals and trees and make sure that the springs continue to flow. In some tales, they guard hidden treasures or enchanted gold, which they will bestow on a person of pure heart during the spring festivals. On the night of the spring equinox, it is said that the llanas emerge to celebrate the season. They gather and dance until dawn, holding hands and scattering roses. And people say that kind-hearted humans who witness or secretly aid the llanas might find small gifts left at their doorsteps the next morning. I found a bunch of sea rocker growing here, which is fun. It's an edible coastal plant and supposed to taste a bit peppery. Oh, that's very peppery, wow. Definitely to be enjoyed in moderation. It's very spicy. Other parts of Spain are home to the aloha, shy water nymphs with golden hair who dwell in rivers and springs and sometimes shapeshift into water birds. They are guardians of purity and make sure that springs remain sacred sources of life. During the spring season, when snow melt and rain swell the streams, villagers would have rituals of offering the first flowers of spring to the ladies of the water, to keep these water spirits happy. And until this day, these rituals have been passed down through the generations. The sea was so wild today, I did not dare go fully into the water for a swim, but the water was such a beautiful temperature that I did take a little bit of time to do a cleansing ritual and just stood there for a while watching the waves roll and break. Divination is another ritual long associated with the equinox, and just before we left England I found a beautiful earth-themed tarot deck in a charity shop. So today I pulled a few cards to help put the past, present and future into perspective. For the past, I drew Waterfall, which is a symbol of gentle movement, and it represented the recent months really beautifully because this was the first time I had actually managed to live at a slower pace. For the present, I pulled Forest, a gentle nudge to breathe more deeply and ground myself in the here and now. And for the future, the card was the Lotus Flower, a reminder that we must allow growth to happen rather than forcing it, and that sometimes the most beautiful things bloom naturally when we create the right conditions. So my mum is a music therapist, and she gave me one of these bird whistles when we visited her in November, and I'm going to use it to call back the birds now that it's spring and see if any of them answer. Ah. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, it works! 2 birds just flew past and responded to my call. One of the most popular spring legends of Andalusia is the story of the almond trees in blossom. In this tale, a Moorish king from the Muslim peoples of North Africa fell deeply in love with a beautiful princess from the cold, snow-covered north. The two married, and the king brought his beloved to his sunny kingdom, where oranges grow in winter and the sea shimmers under blue skies. But as time passed, the princess began to grow quiet and withdrawn. Though the lands were beautiful, she missed the winters of her homeland and the soft white snow that blanketed everything during the colder months. Determined to make his queen happy, the king ordered entire groves of almond trees to be planted across the hills surrounding the palace. And as winter turned to spring, the trees grew countless delicate white blossoms, so many that they covered the landscape like a fresh layer of snow. On one bright morning in late February, the king took his wife's hand and led her to the window to behold the valleys blanketed in what looked like freshly fallen snow, thousands of almond blossoms shining white. The queen's heart lifted, and for the first time in months, she smiled. And ever since that day, the blooming of the almond trees has been seen as a sign that spring is near, and a reminder of the power of love to transform sorrow to joy. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, do subscribe for more van life adventures, seasonal living on the road, and the folklore we encounter on our travels. This episode was made possible by our wonderful Patreon and channel members, and if you want to help us create more videos, head to the link in the description. We hope you have a lovely week ahead, and we'll see you next time. Take care, bye!